Today is Thursday, August 11th. You may have heard former President Trump just pleaded the Fifth, but it's not related to the FBI raid from earlier this week. We'll tell you what he's choosing not to talk about. Also, the new debate about what evidence should and should not be allowed when enforcing abortion bans, and why Facebook is now in the middle of a criminal investigation. Plus, what to expect for this year's flu season right around the corner. Disney Plus will soon have a new subscription option and a higher price. And can't find your favorite beer? A shortage of one key ingredient could be to blame. All that and more stories coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Former President Trump found himself in the spotlight once again in the middle of what's already been a pretty intense week. Yesterday, he spent hours being questioned by New York's Attorney General and her team as part of an ongoing investigation into his business dealings. But the AG didn't learn much, since, as the Washington Post reports, Trump invoked his Fifth Amendment right to not answer questions more than 400 times. Now, to be clear, this is unrelated to the FBI raid of his home that we told you about earlier this week. It's instead part of an investigation that's been going on for years now. New York's Attorney General had been looking into whether former President Trump and his company overvalued Trump properties to get the best bank loans, then undervalued the same properties when reporting taxes to the IRS as a way to keep the most money flowing into the Trump organization. Trump and his company have said they did nothing wrong. And the former president says this is just another politically motivated witch hunt against him. In a statement, Trump said he's being attacked from all sides. The U.S. government has uncovered a plot to assassinate at least two members of former President Trump's administration. The Justice Department charged an Iranian national with trying to kill former National Security Advisor John Bolton and one other high-ranking official. Investigators say he offered to pay someone in the U.S. $300,000 for Bolton's murder and $1 million for the other one. They also say Bolton was under surveillance. A few news outlets also cite sources who say former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was the second target. The DOJ says these plans were likely made in retaliation after an American drone strike killed a top Iranian military leader in 2020. And investigators think the suspect was working on behalf of the Iranian military. A spokesperson for Iran's government called the latest accusations baseless and politically motivated. But Bolton put out a statement too, saying, quote, "Iran's rulers are liars, terrorists, and enemies of the United States." For now, the man accused of plotting the assassination is still at large and not in the United States. So it's not clear when or if he'll be taken into custody. Well, once again, the conflict in Ukraine seems to be escalating. The Ukrainian military confirmed it attacked a Russian airbase in Crimea, an area that's been under Russian control since 2014. Satellite photos show at least 7 Russian fighter planes have been blown up, and others may have been damaged. And that's a big turnaround, since, for the most part, Ukraine has so far been focused on pushing Russian troops back from Ukrainian territory, not launching new attacks on the Russians. Meanwhile, many other parts of Ukraine are also coming under fire, and leaders all around the world have been especially worried about fighting around a Ukrainian nuclear plant. Apparently, Russia has started using the plant as an army base. Top diplomats say Russia's strategy is to keep launching attacks from this nuclear plant, since Ukraine might be too hesitant to strike back out of fear of hitting the plant and causing a nuclear disaster. The United Nations Security Council is meeting today to talk about the situation at that plant, so stay tuned. A criminal case involving evidence from Facebook has sparked new debate about how much information can be shared with law enforcement and when that's really necessary. The social media giant recently gave police in Nebraska private chat messages sent between a mother and her 17-year-old daughter. The two apparently talked about getting abortion pills, taking them, and getting rid of the fetus. So because of those messages and some other evidence, authorities charged both of them with felonies. Prosecutors say the daughter had a miscarriage shortly after she took the pills when she was about 23 weeks pregnant, and that they both buried the evidence. In Nebraska, abortion is illegal starting 20 weeks into a pregnancy, and only licensed doctors are allowed to do the procedure. So both mother and daughter were charged with performing the abortion, concealing the body, and providing false information. They're both set to go to trial later this year. Until that trial, police say they can't talk about the case. Meanwhile, some digital privacy and abortion advocates say this all sets a dangerous precedent. And this week, Facebook's parent company Meta put out a statement to defend itself. It said the warrant requesting the messages was valid and legal and never mentioned abortion. Though either way, legal experts point out that Meta always has to comply with legal requests for data. To be clear, this warrant was issued in June before the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade on a national level, and Nebraska has not changed its law since. But a lot more people are talking about this case now because of that Supreme Court decision, since they expect to see more examples of this in the future. Well, the U.S. could be in for a rough flu season this year. Epidemiologists with the CDC have been looking into the southern hemisphere for signs of what's to come. And what they've seen isn't great. Australia has been dealing with its worst flu season in 5 years. Cases started circulating earlier than usual there, and Australian kids are being hit the hardest. Experts say all this could be a sign the same things are coming our way. They also say Americans might be more vulnerable in general because the last 2 flu seasons here were pretty mild, so people don't have very much built-up immunity. All that said, infectious disease experts are telling people not to panic, to just prepare. And they say that means staying up to date on vaccines. The CDC says the best time for most people to get their shots is in September or October. All right, we have more news for you still ahead. But first, a quick break for our sponsor. I love it when I can spend my money on things I was going to buy regardless, and then find out that I'm helping to support charitable organizations with those purchases. Well, Thrive Causemetics makes that possible thanks to its bigger than beauty mission. And of course, I really like their products too. I'm already using 3 things from Thrive Causemetics on a regular basis. The Liquid Balm Lip Treatment, which is my everyday lip moisturizer. It helps plumps and smooths the look of fine lines on my lips and gives me a great, clear, glossy look. The Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara. It's ultra lengthening and does not flake throughout the day. And finally, the Brilliant Eye Brightener. It's a really handy cream to powder highlighter stick that helps to brighten my eyes even when I don't feel like wearing eyeshadow. And as I run out of my other stuff, I will be buying even more, from my moisturizer to my makeup. And now is a great time to try Thrive Causemetics for yourself. Right now, you can get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecausemetics.com/newsworthy. That's Thrive Causemetics, CAUSEMETICS, thrivecausemetics.com/newsworthy to get 15% off your first order. New numbers suggest the pace of price increases is slowing a bit. The Consumer Price Index, or CPI, measures what Americans pay for goods and services, and it's a key way to track inflation. Well, the latest data from the U.S. Labor Department shows it was lower last month than even economists predicted. The CPI rose 8.5% in July compared to the same time last year, and that's down from 9.1% in June. Economists say inflation cooled in large part because gas prices dropped, at least compared to June. But economists also point out that while this data is lower, inflation is still abnormally high, and the cost of food and rent continue to climb. Even some Fed officials have warned not to react too much to just one data point either way. The world's largest smartphone maker held its big launch event this week and unveiled a handful of new products. So let's start with Samsung's 2 new foldable smartphones, which, by the way, are 2 of the world's most expensive phones. The Galaxy Z Fold 4 becomes the size of a small tablet when opened. It opens kind of like a book, and it has an improved camera and a brighter screen than the version before it. It costs about $1,800. The Galaxy Z Flip 4 is more compact. It opens more like a traditional flip phone, charges quickly, and has an enhanced cover screen, so users can call, text, and control home gadgets without opening up the phone. That one starts at about $1,000. Samsung also announced upgraded smartwatches, the Galaxy Watch 5 and Watch 5 Pro. And finally, Samsung showed off its latest Bluetooth earbuds, promising a sleeker design, better audio, better battery life, and more. All the products are available for pre-order now on Samsung's website. Disney Plus is about to cost you more unless you want a version with ads. Right now, the streaming service costs $7.99 per month and is ad-free. But Disney announced it's bumping the ad-free subscription to $10.99 a month starting in December. And at the same time, it will be offering an option with ads for the original price of $7.99. Disney is also raising the price of Hulu and most of its Disney Bundle subscriptions starting in October. And a price hike for ESPN Plus will start later this month. Disney says it added more than 14 million subscribers last quarter, which is more than predicted, bringing total subscriptions for all of its streaming offerings, including Hulu and ESPN Plus, to about 221 million, officially surpassing Netflix for the most subscribers worldwide. The stage is set for a special, nostalgic Major League Baseball game at the famous Field of Dreams. The whole game is based off the iconic 80s movie Field of Dreams that starred Kevin Costner as a farmer who built a baseball field in an Iowa cornfield. Tonight, baseball fans will get a real-life tribute when two rivals play in an actual MLB regular season game in the same town where that movie took place. The Chicago Cubs and Cincinnati Reds will walk through a cornfield to get to the ballpark that's surrounded by corn. The teams will wear throwback uniforms, and the score will be kept on a manual scoreboard. You can watch it all tonight at 7:15 Eastern on Fox. Well, this is your last chance to see a supermoon in 2022. The final one of the year will peak tonight. Supermoons appear about 7% bigger and 15% brighter than a typical full moon, and they happen when the moon is closest to the Earth. NASA says the best time to see it tonight will be around 9:30 Eastern. But that's not the only show to see in the night sky this week. NASA says the Perseid meteor shower will peak between Friday and Saturday. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, a quick break for our sponsor, ZocDoc. With ZocDoc, you can focus on the doctors who are in-network based on your insurance. So it puts you on the path to see the doctors who are right for you. And then you can also read up on local doctors thanks to verified patient reviews. So no more wasting time hunting down the cash-only chiropractor your friend recommended or calling the dentist your coworker suggested only to learn that she's out of network. ZocDoc is a free app that shows you doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, and are available when you need them. So whether you want to choose a time slot right then and there on ZocDoc or you just want to peek through all of your options, ZocDoc helps make sure your search is faster and more efficient. Every month, millions of people use ZocDoc, and I'm one of them whenever I need a new doctor. So go to ZocDoc.com/newsworthy and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then start your search for a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc, ZocDoc.com/newsworthy, ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Thing to Know Thursday. Concerns are brewing this summer about a shortage of a key ingredient in beer, carbon dioxide. CO2 helps create the bubbles, and it's also important for other aspects of the beer-making process. So without it, beer is in jeopardy. CO2 shortages actually began in mid-2020 because of, you guessed it, the pandemic. But this summer, it's even worse. The Brewers Association says there are several reasons for that. Most recently, one of the country's largest CO2 producers in Mississippi shut down in July because of contamination. That's on top of higher demand in the summer for beer, soda, and other products that use CO2, like dry ice. And other supply chain-related issues, like maintenance shutdowns at other plants and a shortage of delivery drivers. All of this increases the cost of making beer, too. Now, most big-name breweries like Budweiser aren't really affected by the carbon dioxide shortage because they have technology to siphon the gas themselves during fermentation. But a lot of smaller craft brewers don't have that capability. Industry experts hope the problem will get better within a few months. Well, thank you so much for listening today. We so appreciate your support, as always, whether that's sharing the show, leaving a review, or becoming a Newsworthy insider. So we'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.